this one is for the ladies out there. What we want to talk about in this video is the connection between looking for validation as a woman from a man and a sense, I'm saying a sense, a perception of being objectified by men. So how does feeling or like wanting to feel validated, especially sexually, connect with perceiving to be objectified or even manifesting, creating the experience of being objectified by a man? Would you like to explain?
Yeah, well, I wanted to share my experience of, at one point in my life, I had a realization that I had an underlying belief that my sense of worth as a woman was tied to whether or not a man wanted to fuck me. And I think it was in the situation of with someone I'd met and we became friends, and then I wanted more, and he's like, oh, I'm not attracted to you. And I think at that time I was processing, like, why does this rejection hurt? And I realized, like, oh, like, I think if he doesn't want to fuck me, then I'm not worthy. That's where all of my value is as a woman, which is subconscious programming in our culture. And when I realized I had that belief running within me, then I was able to start questioning it and like, okay, like, am I worthy outside of whether or not a man wants to fuck me? Yes, of course I am. But I think a lot of women, they don't really realize that's true. And like you were saying, they can sometimes subconsciously be seeking the validation of their sexual attractiveness from men, but then when men approach them with sexual energy, then they're like, ugh, you're objectifying me. And it's this weird like pull.
So in that sense, you can never win.
Yeah, you can never win, because it's like if he does want to fuck you and you're validated, then he just wants you for your body, and it's not actually like a soul connection, and it's not something that feels real and true and loving. It's more extractive. And then if he doesn't want to fuck you, then it's like, oh, it's because I'm not good enough, or I'm not valuable or worthy as a woman. And so like a lot of women, I feel like, are trapped in this.
And my 5 cents to that from a man's perspective, if I'm getting confused, I'm getting very confused. So if a woman signals to me that she's sexually open and interested in me, and then I approach her in that way, and then there's the defensiveness of like, you're objectifying me, I don't feel safe. I close myself and I am not willing to open my heart because it doesn't feel safe. So this initial looking for validation, which is coming from this self-worth, flips in the moment. That's how I understand it. In the moment a woman gets that validation, it flips into men just want to fuck me, and then a defensiveness, a push. So it's first a pull and then a push. That is very confusing for guys. And if I don't even get the chance to be invited to connect on other levels, like if you lead, let's say we can connect on 3 levels: the mind, the heart, and the animal. And if you lead with the animal, I meet you on the animal, but I'm still able to connect on the other levels. And if I feel a push away because I want to connect on the animal, then there is no invitation to go beyond. And this is where the
Because you've already been rejected.
That's right. And this is where, for most men, I would say objectification starts when they feel, I'm not safe here to be fully myself. Like, I'm not really received for that. So, then the manipulation starts and the trying to get somewhere starts and all that. So that's kind of the dynamic between looking for validation and the moment you get it, feeling objectified and pushing it away again. So what can we do practically? What would you tell a woman who's listening to get out of this cycle?
That's a hard question for me to answer because, I mean, it's just, for me, it's just taken fucking decades of meditation, healing work, shadow work, embodiment practices. But I mean, especially relationships with safe men, I guess like something that I've done is like, even when I get rejected, say in this case by this friend who's like, no, like I don't feel like, you know, I'm not attracted to you, instead of being like, okay, fuck you, you don't see how amazing I am or whatever, I was like, okay, like I can accept that. And then he and I became like very close friends, and he was at my first birth and he caught my first child, and he was like a safe man for me to begin to explore like emotional and non-sexual physical intimacy that wasn't connected to the sexual, which actually was a gift, because if if we had engaged in the sexual, it just would have gotten messy because there wasn't a match. And so there's like being open to safe relationships with men, and for me that also started with like gay men, where there was no risk of like sexual stuff at all. So then I was able to be my authentic self and be vulnerable with men where there wasn't any gray area, or there wasn't any of these energetic games of like, oh, does he want to fuck me or not? Because like he doesn't, he's gay. And so like that was my first like safe male relationship, was with gay men, and then with straight men who had boundaries sexually, and even with you. Like when we first met, I was like, I'm attracted to you, and you're like, no, I don't feel it. And I was like, okay. And I stayed open, and I mean, I could have shut down, and a lot of people actually advised me. They're like, oh, if he doesn't see how amazing you are and he's not attracted to you, then like fuck him, and like da da da. And I'm like, I don't feel like that's the right path for my relationship with you, because in so many other ways it was so safe and loving and nurturing and supporting. And so I was like, okay, like if he doesn't want to meet me in the sexual realm, there's also so much showing up in consistency and love and healing. Like I don't need to put up boundaries because I feel rejected, or I feel like I'm not good enough somehow. It's like, yeah, and this just takes time. But I would say like finding safe relationships to engage with, especially if they're not sexual, if you have wounding around that.
My perspective to add would be also to first acknowledge, like if what we said in this video in the beginning is resonating with you, own it first of all. Like, okay, there's part of me that wants to have validation from men, and there's another part of me that's afraid of being objectified. And my question to you then would be, how much are you connected with your own sexual pleasure for yourself? How much do you embrace yourself as a sexual being? And then having clear boundaries for yourself when you meet a new person, when you need to meet a new man. What are you a yes to, and what are you a no to? Just know that for yourself, because this is where your safety lies. If you have that really clear and you're not getting into people pleasing, then a man coming to you, giving you compliments, and I would say coming also with his sexual essence to you, which is an embodied man, has a lot of sexual energy, and that's beautiful. So if he comes to you with that energy, it's nothing that you need to be afraid of. If you know yourself, if you know what you are yes to and what you are no to, so you can see it as a compliment.
And not shaming him for it.
Yeah, that's right, because the shaming makes a man collapse, and then actually as a defense mechanism gets into objectifying.